Hi there. In this episode, we'll be covering how to stay motivated writing a book. It's easy to hit a wall when you're writing a book, to want to give up, to pack it in. I've been there so many times, but believe me, you'll want to stick with it. The rewards of publishing your book and finishing your book are so great. This video is all about motivation, so if you're stuck, if you're struggling, if you're hitting that wall, watch this video for all the writing motivation you'll need. By the end of this video, you will learn how to eliminate distractions with your writing, how to unlock your purpose for writing a book, and how to get help if you need it. And stay tuned until the end of the video for an opportunity I really think you're going to enjoy. Let's dive in. It's easy when we think about big things to get overwhelmed. A book is massive. A book is a huge undertaking. A book could be 30,000, 50,000, 100,000 words. But break that down. Break it down into incremental bites. Break it down into digestible pieces. You know, if you're ending up writing 200 words a day, you might be able to finish your book in 6 or 8 months. That's doable. If you can make incremental progress and incremental gains, and you keep going with it, you're going to get results. So don't focus on the big picture. Focus on the little. Focus on what's here right in front of you. Focus on today. What writing can you get done today? What can you accomplish today? Tomorrow, this week, this month. Set goals for yourself. What can you do in that little bit of time? Don't think about the big picture. Make progress. Focus on progress. A lot of times when authors think about having the time to write a book, a lot of times when authors think about finishing their book, they think about how they don't have the time, as if time is the element. Time is the most important thing to getting the book done. They need 2 or 3 hours of blocks at a time to be able to make progress. I want you to rethink that. This isn't really about time, it's about focus. How much focus can you give? How much attention can you give in windows of time, even 10, 20, and 30 minutes? You know, people will make this perfect breakfast for themselves, get their cup of coffee. I'm all about coffee. I love coffee. Not knocking the coffee, but you know, it's this step-by-step thing, and the sunlight has to come through the window a certain way. You know, they have to angle the chair a certain way. Everything needs to be right in order to get writing. I don't want you to think that way, you know, because how tough is it to make all these elements fit together to finally make progress? I don't want you to think about these blocks of time. I want you to think about blocks of focus. A lot of times I focus on writing sprints. Writing sprints are simple, easy, digestible pieces, 10, 20, 30 minutes. All you do is sit there and write for 10 minutes, for 20 minutes, for 30 minutes. And the more you train yourself on writing sprints, the better you get. It's like training for running. It's the same thing. The more you do it, the easier it gets. All you do is sit in front of the computer or sit with a notepad and pen and write. That's it. Write for 10 minutes, then stop. Write for 20 minutes, then stop. That's it. If you can do that, you can make progress. This isn't about editing. This isn't about making it clean. This is simply, I have this thing that I'm thinking about and I'm going to write about it today. That's it. Just make 10 minutes of progress, walk away from it, come back later, clean it up, rinse, repeat. Keep doing it. Keep going. The more you do writing sprints and the more that you incorporate that into your toolkit, the easier it's going to get to make progress and build momentum with your book. Instead of thinking about, I need 2 hours, think about what you can do in 10 minutes. Another big thing to think about is your purpose. What is your purpose for writing the book? If you have a deep purpose, it's going to be easier for you to stay motivated. Without understanding what your purpose is, it gets easier and easier to give up or to stop and to struggle. You don't feel this deeper sense of need to keep going. You know, if your purpose is you want to establish yourself as the thought leader in a specific area, you know that this book is going to help you get there. So what goal do you want to accomplish by writing your book? You need to have some goal, because the goal is going to make it easier for you to keep going amid all of the obstacles, all the challenges, all the self-doubts, all the insecurities, all the fears, all of the everything. All these things are going to pile up. So you can either not have purpose and face insecurity, doubt, and fear, or you can have purpose. And every time you face those things, you can just cut through them. You can face them with authority, and you can cast them aside, and you can keep going because you have a deeper purpose. You'll want to give up, But then you keep remembering that purpose. You say, I need to keep going because blank. Because this matters to me and my family, I want to share this message with them. Because I want to become the leading thought leader in my space. Because I'm not satisfied with where I'm at in my life, and I want to write this book to get to that next level. This book is going to be a stepping stone for you to unlock the greatness within and unlock the opportunities that are out there for you. And if you don't understand what that purpose is, it's going to be easier for you to give up. So figure out your purpose. Figure out why you're doing this. Anything that's tough, you want to understand. You want the juice to be worth the squeeze. You want to understand why it is that you're doing this. If you want to run a marathon to prove something to yourself, great. That's the same thing. You need to have motivation to keep going. Otherwise, you're going to want to give up because it's going to be really hard. So figure out your purpose, and your purpose is going to help fuel your motivation. Another thing I want you to think about, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. I know it's corny to say that, but I think it's true. Every time that you're writing a book, there's going to be things that pop up, obstacles, difficulties, struggles. I think of every single book I've written or ghostwritten, and inevitably during that process, something happened in my life. There's so many times that you can say, I'm not going to write today because of blank. I'm not going to write today because of this, that. My job got hard. My family life is difficult. I understand there's obviously times when you want to step back, and those are those special circumstances, and you know what they are. When things are really out of control and you say, okay, I need to pull back because I'm not giving my best to this book. I get that. We've all been there. But I'm talking about the day-to-day obstacles, the challenges that take us out of our rhythm. You need to keep going, and you need to push through those things. You find a way to write every single day. That was one of the things I learned from my journalism career. I worked overnight for 4 years. 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. was my shift in New York City media, and there were so many days when I didn't want to write. I was just tired, just so tired from not sleeping well, and it was the sleep deprivation thing, and there were so many things going on, and I ultimately feel like doing that every single day repetitively for 4 years kind of unlocked this ability to write no matter what. You want to be motivated by what you're writing. You don't want it to feel like a chore, and I think a lot of times when we feel like things are a chore, it's important to follow your gut on that and say, why is that? Why does this not feel right to me? But you need to keep going, and you need to find a way to make progress, because otherwise you're going to put it aside. You're going to spend a bunch of time doing other things, and it's going to be this regret. It's going to be something that lingers. You never let it go. It's just constantly following you. The other thing to think about, get help if you need it. It's okay to get help. So many authors do it. I've worked with dozens and dozens and dozens of authors to help them finish their book. A lot of times my contributions are rather limited. I kind of steer them in the right direction, and then they're on. Then they figured it out. Then they're going. You might just need that little bit of help. You might need a lot of help. But getting help and kind of admitting you need help isn't a bad thing. I think it's a great thing. You're going to inevitably need some help to get this book from good to great, whether that comes in the editing process, whether that comes from working with a ghostwriter writing coach. You're going to work with somebody else who's going to help make your book better. And being open to those changes, open to those suggestions, open to that support is going to make your book that much stronger. It can feel very lonely to write a book. And I think that's one of the reasons why people want to give up. It doesn't need to be as lonely as you think it is. And your book can be very collaborative. I think about a friend of mine, Emma. We worked on her book together for a year. And, we were recently putting kind of edits, final changes to the draft in place. And we were working in Google Docs, and we were working back and forth, like at the same time. I was leaving a suggestion and she was leaving a comment. And it was so cool to be able to have that collaboration, work on it at the same time. Just making it great. And I think that's such a special thing. You miss out on those opportunities when you're working independently. Yeah, obviously you can get it done, but there's always ways to make it better. And working with a professional can help improve your manuscript and give you the peace of mind that you're writing the best book possible, that you're going to be proud of the thing that you're publishing. And, I know the people that I've worked with, I've seen their lives transformed by the books that we've written together. And, I want to see that for you too. I want to see your life transformed by this book. I don't want you to give up, because giving up is such a heavy thing. The world needs your message, and you need that message to be out in the world too. So it matters. It matters to be able to keep pushing forward. It matters to keep going. And ultimately, your book is worth it. So keep pushing forward, keep going. And if you need some help to get across the finish line, get that help. If you want to learn more about how to stay motivated writing a book, there's another video I want you to watch. I'll link to it on the screen. It's called I Need Help to Write My Book. In that video, I cover the 3 main forms of help that you can get in writing your book, as well as the steps that you should follow if you're taking a DIY approach. Help is out there, just waiting, and it can help you write a great book. Remember, a good book can change your life. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.